Hi everyone, it's Carnivore Ron here. 6 months ago, I interviewed on Dave Mack's channel, and he has invited me to come back. And so I thought you might like to watch the first interview from 6 months ago. And you can probably tell from the picture of myself that I have lost some weight in those 6 months. Anyway, I'm going to play the video of my interview with Dave Mack. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I used to use a tool to get my socks on. I couldn't bend my knees enough to put my own socks on.
Ron, how did you find carnivore?
Well, I don't know. I hope this isn't too boring a story, but um, like a lot of your interviews, I have to kind of go back. Um, I've had a weight problem my entire life. Um, give you an example. When I was 8 years old, I played in little league softball, and I remember one of the coaches asking me, "Well, how much do you weigh?" And I told him I don't remember what the weight was, and he says, "Geez, you weigh more than I do." This is the adult coach, and I'm 8 years old, and I weigh heavier than the coach. So that gives you an idea how far back I've had a weight problem. Uh, and I have tried so many diets over the years that I finally gave up trying to lose weight because it would just every time I lose some weight and then you gain back more. Um, and I had no idea, I was trying to count calories and other things, and so um, geez, about I retired back in 2012, and I'm 70 years old now. And actually, everything kind of came together last Easter. So, uh, 5 years ago, when I first retired, I used to go walk, and I would walk maybe a mile. And even before I retired, I used to bike a lot. I actually came close to doing what they call a century. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a 100-mile bike. I did 80 miles the year before uh, on a mountain bike, and I had it special made to hold my weight because I was 400 pounds then. And you can put rims on for a tandem on a bike. So tandems are designed to hold 600 pounds as opposed to a regular bike is designed for 250. So I had a special made bike. I used to go biking a lot. And then that winter, I contracted mono. And I was done with my biking. So I came close to doing a century, but so I always was in pretty good shape, even in spite of the weight. I had a lot of muscle, but that all went downhill after that. Um, so after I retired, I still wanted to try to stay as healthy as I could, and I'd go walking. And I know I sent you a video of one of my songs that I did. Um, I used to play guitar quite a bit, and I also play piano. And when I retired, I decided to start writing music. I had to give up playing the guitar because of pain in my wrist and fingers from arthritis and also carpal tunnel syndrome. I don't know if I said that right, carpal tunnels. Um, and so um, I couldn't really play guitar anymore. I still could play the keyboard and I would write. And I was walking, but over time, I used to walk like maybe a mile. We have a park not too far from here, or I just go around the neighborhood. I would start having shorter walks and more time in between the walks um, because I was having knee pain. And the arthritis now was going into my knees and hips. And I finally just had to stop walking. It was just too painful. So I found myself about 5 years ago uh, almost immobile. I could get around the house, and I had a cane in the car if I had to get out of the car to do something, but I would do like my banking and stuff, I would go through the drive-through. It's kind of, or I do it online. Uh, and my wife would do all the grocery shopping. I tell her what I wanted and see if I said see if they have something. And she would go and do the shopping for me, um, and for herself as well. Um, anyway, it took me. My top weight was 472 pounds, and it took me 4 years to lose 40 pounds counting calories. I didn't know about insulin resistance or what a carbohydrate was or anything. I had no idea. It's just something that uh, the doctor never told me anything about it. Well, anyway, um, the year before I had come across. I always enjoyed listening to uh, uh, Jordan Peterson and other interviewers, and it came across I don't know if he's talking about the Lion Diet or I think he called it the Lion Diet at that time, but and so when that happened, you know how the algorithms on YouTube go, and all of a sudden I start seeing Dr. Berg, Dr. Barry, Dr. Chafee, and the list goes on. Uh, and so I started listening to those. At the same time, I have a friend that I've known we're both he's 6 months older than me. I've known him since he was 12, and we get together every month just to have lunch or something, have a little chat, talk about whatever politics, current events, whatever. So we go order a pizza, and he'd always say, "Can I get thin crust pizza?" I didn't realize it at the time, but he was trying to cut his carbs down, and he actually would not eat the outside crust. And I didn't really know what he was doing, but I said, "No, okay, that's what you want. That's what we'll get." Uh, then another time we got together, and we went over to Arby's. I don't know if you're familiar with the food chain Arby's, a fast food restaurant, um, but there's one just a few blocks from my house. And they would have this deal, two for $6 or two for $7. You get two sandwiches. So we both go order a couple of sandwiches. And I noticed that he would take the meat out of one of the sandwiches and put it in with his other sandwich and throw away the extra bun. Again, he was trying to cut his carbs and cut his bread. And I really didn't know what he was doing. So uh, last Easter, neither me or my wife or his and his wife have children. So we get together, kind of like we form our own family during those holidays. And my wife and I both noticed that he had lost quite a bit of weight. He wasn't, I wouldn't consider obese, although I think the medical community would consider him. I think he was like 230 or something like that. And he dropped, I think he was like 188. It was noticeable. And he told me, well, he says, I've been cutting back on my breads and starches. And he says, he was doing a kind of a diet. I don't know what it is, where you follow the glycemic index. I don't know if there's a name for that diet or whatever, but I had heard of the carnivore diet at that point, and it was Easter after they left for home. I said to my wife, "I'm going to try the carnivore diet," and that's how I got started on the carnivore diet.
How was it when you first got started? Was it easy enough, or did you find it
Yeah,
difficult?
actually, I had three favorite meals, and I gave up. I guess you could say two and a half of them. Uh, I, I loved pizza. Okay, give up pizza. And I love spaghetti with meat sauce. Of course, the meat sauce has tomato in it, but uh, tomato sauce, But I gave that up. My third favorite meal was steak with baked potato, so I gave up the baked potato. And so I started eating steaks and hamburgers. Actually, we had a lot of ham left from Easter, so I spent the first week finishing up the ham myself. Uh, and we had potatoes. We ended up throwing those out. I just said I'm not going to eat those. And we did have some green bean casserole, and I finished that I think in about 3 days after Easter. So after that, it was all meat. And it happened to be that I'm pretty good at cooking on the grill. I do a good job of cooking meat on the gas grill over an open fire. So my wife is from the Philippines, and she was planning to go home and visit her family for about 3 weeks, and she was going to be leaving in a couple of weeks. Uh, so she went ahead. She's very supportive. She went ahead and we have a chest freezer and a regular refrigerator freezer. And she put on one of the shelves all the steaks that we had in the freezer, and she put on one side of the chest freezer all the hamburger that we had. She says, "There's your food while I'm gone." So, so I started into that, basically cooking hamburgers and steaks while she was gone. Now I got some notes here. I have a chart here that I did, actually charting my weight loss. I'm was in computer business, and also I did payroll check writing, so I'm kind of a nerd, you know. So I recorded the weight loss every Tuesday. I would record it, and I look back here, and when my wife got back, I was in the diet for 7 weeks, and I had lost 28 pounds in 7 weeks, as opposed to 4 years for 40 pounds. And so right now, this morning I stepped on the scale and I was 307. So I've lost 165 pounds. So, and
That's
that's,
impressive. Congratulations.
yeah. And this is the first time in my life that I think I'm actually going to, I was hoping to be below 200 before, uh, our interview here, but um, I plateaued for about 10 days. And just a couple of days ago, I broke the plateau. So I was like 409 for 10 days, or 309, sorry, for 10 days. And so I'm 307 now. So this will be probably a 2 pound loss week. Uh,
Right. So, sorry, can I just clarify? So that's 165 pounds over a period of about 10 months?
sorry, the first 40 of that was over 4 years. So,
Ah, I see. Okay.
so it's 120 in really 11 months.
Like, what other things have you noticed? Like, were you on any medications or have
Yeah,
any,
um, I never really had a blood pressure problem, but uh, several years ago, we had, my wife's aunt had dementia, and so I was retired, so I was home all day. So we got volunteered to take care of the rest of the family were all working, and so I was around home and I could kind of keep an eye on her. But the stress level when you're taking care of someone that has dementia, she kept thinking that she was still in the Philippines and she'd want to go out for a while. She says, "I'm going to go see my sister." And uh, you know, I remember one time she walked out the door. I had to get in the car and follow. And then by the time she got to the end of the block, she forgot where she was. And she looked over and saw me in the car, so she walked over and got in the car. So anyway, that period of time shot my blood pressure off, and I was never able to get it back down. So I went on Loprinicil for blood pressure. I was taking, I think, like a small dose, like 10 milligrams a day. And so I was on that, and I made some notes as to, you can almost kind of forget all the problems that you had because I really had a lot of little stuff. Um, for example, uh, one minor thing is like I don't have the tartar or plaque on my teeth that I used to brush off every evening. I used to wake up. I have a CPAP machine. I have sleep apnea, which I still use the CPAP machine. I don't know. I haven't tried coming off of it yet. I probably could, but I'm so used to wearing that mask that I just keep wearing it. The next thing on my list I made is I used to wake up and I would cough up mucus every morning, and just you cough and I have to spit it out in the sink. And everybody thought that, like, or I should say, my wife thought that, do you have COVID? This was during COVID. A lot of this was happening, but I said, no, the CPAP machine is blowing the stuff from my nose down into my lungs and I'm coughing it up in the morning. But that stopped like almost immediately, like within a few days. Um, the pain in my hands went away within 3 weeks. Um, I still have my right knee. That's no problem. My left knee, I still have a little problem with it. So I don't do a lot of walking, but I can. Actually, um, I walked into the pharmacy the other day to get something out of the back and walked up and I didn't use a cane. And I also walked into the bank for the first time in I don't know how many years, and I didn't even use a cane. And I waited in line, went to the teller, and the way the bank's set up, it's actually a long walk because they have all these kind of glassed-in cubicles for the supervisors, and they have investment people there and all that kind of thing. Uh, so that was kind of a mark for me that I could actually get around short distances without a cane. But the knee still bothers me from time to time. And I have days where, like, okay, I don't want to walk. But then other days I'm like, oh, I'm fine. So that's improving. Okay. I used to use a tool to get my socks on. I couldn't bend my knees enough to put my own socks on. So I had a tool that, I'd reach, you'd reach down with it and open the sock up and then pull it over your toes and then I could pull it up. I don't use it anymore. I can put socks on without help, which is an important thing. Yeah, I think at my age to have some independence in that area. Although like I said, I used a tool. My wife didn't have to help me, um, and I used to get sunburned my whole life. I was so sensitive to sun. Another short story here. When I think I was 5 or 6 at the time. It was before I was in first grade. So that summer, we had a pool in our backyard, and I stayed in it too long, and I got sunburned so bad I actually had blisters on my shoulder that were just like almost the size of a football. And the doctor said, "Well, pierce them, and the stuff would drain out, and it would like leave a crust on my chest." That was an awful period of time. Now, since I've been on this diet, I go out. We have a deck. The back of our house is a southern exposure, and it gets like close to 100 degrees sitting out there. I can sit out in that thing with my shirt off for an hour, and I tan. I don't burn anymore. So that's just, to me, that's a big kind of a big thing. The other thing I do, I think I mentioned that I compose music. I have a music channel on YouTube, and I feature my compositions and then also other compositions of other small channels. I do mostly neoclassical, but I do all kinds of genres. I've done some metal and rock and ragtime and almost maybe everything except rap. I think I did try one rap song, but it didn't work too good. I do some country, uh, more folk than country. But anyway, I noticed that since I've been on this diet, that my creativity seems to be like I'm writing a song and I'm going, okay, this isn't quite right. I mean, it's like it's okay as far as theory would go, but I said it just doesn't have the feeling that I want to have. And I used to have to really kind of struggle to think about what to do. I'd have to experiment. Now it's kind of like I know what's wrong with that. I need to go up instead of down, or I need to change this to a major seventh instead of a sixth chord, or a suspended chord. It's kind of like it comes to me like quicker. So I guess you could say it's brain fog. I have hearing problem. I'm wearing hearing aids right now. I don't know if you can see them or not. And I also uh, I have cataracts, which have not cleared up. I probably am going to have to go for surgery for that because uh, it's annoying when I drive. I basically have one good eye and the other one is just really clouded. My right eye here is just really clouded over. The glasses don't help hardly. So that's kind of. I'm seeing if I forgot anything else here. Oh, yeah, I want to ask the guest out there one question, if anybody out there is listening. I'm on warfarin, Coumadin, and I have blood clots in both legs. They call it DVT. And I was wondering, does anybody have any history of getting off of that? I'd really love to get off of that stuff, but I'm kind of afraid to get off the blood thinner because they say I have that genetically I generate too much protein K, and so I'm prone to clots. So um, yeah, that reminded me of something else. I was gonna last August, my wife and I were in an automobile accident, and my hands were all cut up, and I had a big bruise on this arm all the way up, and my injuries healed in about a third of the time it took for my wife's injuries to heal. So, and uh, my wife has relatives in the Philippines. Actually, she has three nieces. Two are medical technologists, and one is a nurse. And they all said, Ron's blood or sugar level must really be low for him to heal that fast. And so I don't take the testing for the blood sugar or insulin or anything like that. I haven't done that. I just uh, kind of go with my feeling and what works for me. Right now, I'm on one meal a day, OMAD. Um, when I started, I was doing 2 meals a day. Actually, I was doing 2 meals a day before I think that's why I lost the 40 pounds. Um, so I started out on 2 meals a day, and now I do one meal a day during the week.
You talked about how you're feeling much more creative now. Um,
Yes,
with the weight loss that you've had and the other things that have changed as well, you must be feeling a renewed sense of freedom almost, because you can get around, you can go into the bank yourself, that kind of thing, yeah?
yes, yeah, oh yes, yeah, definitely. Uh, I I don't know how to I don't know how to put in words the difference of how I feel, but um, it's kind of like I've fought my weight the whole time, and it's finally like I've unleashed a secret weapon. It's like I know now how to beat it. Uh, I already have a lot of extra skins, and I said I don't know if I'll ever have the extra skin removed or not with surgery. I know some people do, but at my age, I kind of like, okay, you know, when you're 70 years old, you kind of don't care about that stuff as much, I think.
When you were at your highest weight, that 472 pounds, like, did you have any you never had a problem with diabetes or anything?
No, a couple of years before that, I got it, but it went away. But for a couple of years, I had one blood test that I went in, and it said I was like pre-diabetic, and I can't remember what the number was, but they said I was pre-diabetic. But subsequent years after that, I'd go in and they say, no, you're not. Uh, you're okay. You're on the high end of normal. So anyway, that I didn't have a problem with that. I tell you what, I really did have, and maybe this will help some people. I had a real addiction to soda pop, big time. Soda pop is what I drank at my meals. when I was watching TV or a movie, I drank soda pop. Uh, and uh, I I found after I started this diet, I still had that craving, and I actually beat it. I think within about a week and a half or a week anyway. I stopped after I was still drinking soda pop the first week or so, and then but I restricted it to 1 can a day. But then I went and I'll grab a bottle here. I opened a can and I had an empty water bottle like one of these, and I took one sip of it or a swig or what you want to call it, and then I poured the rest into the empty water bottle and I put that back in the fridge. And it took me like 3 days. Each day I would take just one sip of it, put the rest back in the fridge. The fourth day, and for 3 more days after that, I'd take a sip, swish it around my mouth like it was mouthwash because I was getting the flavor of it. And then I'd go to the bathroom and spit it out in the sink. I said, these carbs are not getting in my stomach. And after a week, I didn't even finish the bottle. I mean, there was still this much left on it. And I said, I threw it out. I'm done. And I haven't had a Pepsi or a Coke since. That was so. I don't know if people could use that technique. You get the flavor of it first. You get a little sip of it, then you get a flavor of it, and you spit it out, and then you're off of it. And I don't know if that technique would help anybody or not. I don't know. But I had a serious soda pop addiction. I mean, big time. And that's probably why I didn't lose much. That's why I lost only the 40 pounds. I had no idea. I was counting calories and I said, okay, can's 150 calories. Okay. You know, not
Right.
knowing anything about insulin levels or anything. I went and I got an education. I started keeping track. This is a list of doctors that I follow on YouTube. And I really enjoy the lectures by Dr. Binkman. And by the way, I caught your interview with Dr. Keltz. I think is that how you pronounce his name? Kiltz. Uh, Great interview, by the way.
This has been 11 months. You're finished the blood pressure meds? Like your blood pressure came down?
That was 3 weeks. I was over that.
Oh, only 3 weeks.
I stopped that after 3 weeks. I was taking my blood pressure, and like my blood pressure went to like 100 over 60, and I said, I got to stop taking the Laprinacil. I got to stop taking it. And my blood pressure varies between 120 over 60 to like maybe 130 over 70. It's just, it's good. I mean,
So
so
what does your wife think? Like you're a shadow of your former self now.
yeah, well, the first time in our married life now, she can reach her arms all the way around me and put her hands together behind my back. She's never been able to do that. And she's been very supportive. She's not on the diet. She's she's still on her Filipino diet. That's rice is life. I know you actually. I know you interviewed somebody from the island of Iloilo a while back, a lawyer, and my wife's family lives, I think, maybe about 10 or 12 miles from there, from that city. They live in a small city, and I got to tell you, they have been so supportive, and it's a great family. I don't know, they say in the Philippines, when you marry the family, not just your wife, and it's true. But they've been the most uh, accepting people that I've ever ran into. I mean, it's something that you don't when you weigh like I do, you don't run into that kind of acceptance here. And I could tell you in high school, or from elementary school to high school, I was bullied. And we just recently had our 50th reunion. I haven't gone to a reunion for high school ever. Haven't gone to one, and I didn't go to this one either. I did have one friend that I had back in junior high that uh, he he went to the reunion, and he asked another friend of mine who went to reunion and says, "I'd like to see Ron. Where does he live?" And I live about maybe about 12 miles from where the high school used to be, or is, I should say, and where the reunion was. And so uh, he told him where I lived, and he says, "Look, I'll meet you, and I'll take it." So we had a lunch with him the next day. So basically, I had one friend from the reunion that wanted to see me that I hadn't seen. So I'm, you become kind of, I guess the right word is a recluse. Uh, when you've been like I have, you want to stay out of the public eye. People judge you, uh, and like his weight's out of control. He must not have a lot of self control, which is probably the farthest from the truth. When you spend 4 years to lose 40 pounds counting calories, you got to have, some control. So,
Yeah, well, that's the I think that's the one of the biggest problems is people associate overweight and obesity and some health conditions with a lack of control. But what they don't understand is that because we've been brought up on the junk that we have been brought up on, that junk's hijacked our body, right? So it
oh,
doesn't matter how much self control you've got; it's very, very hard to
oh,
overcome the addiction to things, right?
oh, absolutely. You reminded me of a story that I was thinking about telling. I said, no, it's not really part of the story, but in a way it is. My mother died in 1976 of cancer. I mean, she had like 5 or 6 different cancers. She was an incredible cook and baker. She used to make these coffee cakes that were to die for. I mean, they were filled with like a brown sugar cinnamon filling and white icing on it. And I mean, they were more like a cake than a coffee cake. And anywhere that my grandmother's recipe that she used called for lard, guess what she'd put in? Crisco. Okay, who knew? I mean, she basically was, you know, caused my weight to go high. She didn't know. She thought she was doing what was healthy. This is the
Right.
lie telling to us for 60 years or more.
That's right. And the problem is, I mean, we've wised up to Crisco now, but the problem is everyone still thinks they're doing the right thing because they're buying a box of something that says zero cholesterol or low fat or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it's all such a lie. Everything we've been told about dieting is just 180 degrees from the truth. And you wonder if it's to keep us sick or if it's just, I don't want to really say it's a conspiracy. But I kind of have hope. We just had an election here in the U.S. and RFK Jr. is Maha. Uh, he's now head of the Health and Human Services. I hope that the government will start getting the word out about sugar addiction and not just. I think the chemicals are kind of like a side, like a side issue, even though they're important. Uh, but I'm hopeful that the government maybe they will change the labeling and they'll start doing some PSAs about sugar addiction. I don't know if they will, but because the big food and big pharma lobbies are huge. I mean, just absolutely huge. And I don't know if it's a problem there in Japan or other parts of the world. I don't know because I think Europe kind of follows the same thing, except they don't have as many chemicals. I think in their cereals and other foods that they allow in the U.S. Uh, it's just so much corruption. It's sad, and we all pay the price. it's kind of like uh, I don't even know if I need to see my doctor again. Other than I go in for regular testing for my Coumadin or warfarin is actually what I take. And I'm hoping to get off of that. And I know when I take some more weight off, I probably can get off the CPAP machine. Uh, and but
Oh,
It's just
so
it's a shame.
I had a question about the CPAP machine. Um, so you're still on it, but has your sleep improved?
Uh, yeah, maybe a little bit. I can't really say it's improved. The CPAP machine uh, really kind of solved the problem. I have another friend of mine, who he's actually a professional chef, and he, uh, you know, when I was telling about CPAP machine, he went and got tested and found out he'd had sleep apnea, and he's not a real big guy either. I mean, but I mean he's not not skinny by any means, but he started using his CPAP machine, and he said it was like night and day. He got such good sleep. Me, I didn't notice it so much. I actually, when they first prescribed it for me, I had. They said, well, you really don't have the symptoms. They do that test where you have to, and then you're supposed to take a nap during the day afterwards, and they monitor you. They got these little electrodes hooked up all over you, and they said, well, you really don't have the symptoms, but you do stop sleep. You do stop breathing when you are sleeping. So I've been using it now for 30 plus years, uh, and it's set at the highest level I ever had it, and it's stayed at that level now for maybe 15 years. So I could probably sleep without it, but I think you become addicted to that too. It's like I can't fall asleep without that mask on my face. And I don't even use what they call ramp time with it. I don't know if you're familiar with that. They'll start out with low pressure, and so it doesn't like push in your nose, and then it goes up to the pressure you're supposed to have. But I'm so used to it, I don't even use the ramp. I just hit it. I hit it full power and pop it on my face and close my eyes.
It feels like it could be something that you get so used to using it. It's almost like it becomes part of you.
Yeah, I remember when I first started using it. I would actually sometimes I'd wake up and I had it off, laying aside of me. It's like I didn't even know I took it off because I wasn't used to it. Now it's like I don't know if I can fall asleep without it. So um, it hasn't really been a problem wearing it. So I haven't really worried that much about it. But at some point, maybe I'll stop using it. I actually have two of them. Uh, I have one that uh, is a small one for travel, and then I have another older one that I can use. But actually, I switched. I got the older one now in the bag that I use if I travel, which I don't travel anymore. My wife and I used to go on road trips, and it actually reminded me of another story I was going to tell you, Dave. Uh, One of the things that happened to me before I went on Carnivore, the friend I was telling you about buys and sells used books, and he has a woman up in northern Michigan that sells books online. But so he sells his books that he gets here at the library sales, and um, he takes them up to her. Well, his wife had a stroke and couldn't take the trip anymore. So he brought his wife over, and we loaded all his books in the back. I have a minivan. We loaded all his books in the back of my van, and I drove him up. We met the lady, unloaded, and came back. On the way back, I had to use the bathroom. Uh, I got out of the van and I walked to to the restroom from the parking lot that they have these rest areas along the freeway. And I got there fine. On the way back, I had to stop. There was no place to sit. I went up against a light pole and I leaned there for about maybe 10 or 15 minutes to get my breath to get the rest of the way back to the car. And at that point, I just said, okay, no more road trips. I'm done. I'm hoping that I can do that again. I really enjoyed. We used to get in the car and drive out in the western United States, beautiful country, stop along the way and see different sites. We've been to Mount Rushmore. We've been to Yellowstone, uh, Yosemite. We've been through the Grand Tetons. And when we go to Vegas, we used to have friends that actually lived about 90 miles outside of Vegas in a small town in Nevada called Pahrump. And so we'd go and they'd put us up. We didn't have to pay for a room, and then they'd go to the casino again. Then we'd go drive through Death Valley and through there, which is really an amazing place. So I used to enjoy those road trips. They were just so nice, but I just like, okay, this just isn't happening anymore. So uh, I sit home and write music, and that's kind of what I do. And I do play a little bit, and now I can uh, for the last 6 months or so, I started playing guitar again. The strength came back into my hands, and the arthritic pain was gone. And so it's kind of nice to be able to do those things again.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you do OMAD. What does your OMAD look like?
I usually eat anywhere between 9 and 11 o'clock in the morning. Uh, that's and I'll have I'm basically what they call the bacon, butter, uh, beef, and egg, the BBBE. That's basically my diet. Um, Yeah, I have some tricks with. I do occasionally eat a hot dogs and kielbasa, and I call that my dirty carnivore meal because they have seed oils and stuff in that. I have one technique I figured out to reduce the seed oils in hot dogs is that I split them in half and then boil them, and you can see the oil come to the top of the boiling water, and then I pour it out, and then I'll do it again, and I get a lot of the seed oil and I think some of the sugar that they put in it out. And then I used to also be a ketchup holic too. I didn't mention that. And what I would do instead of ketchup now, uh, I use sauerkraut instead of ketchup. So I have kraut dogs or I have sauerkraut with my kielbasa. But I like my wife. They used to have, and they still do. They had a sale recently. They have hot dogs for $1 a pack, so it really is a cheap meal. Uh, but my wife bought a whole bunch of hot dogs, and I have maybe one pack every 2 months. So it's not very often. Just something I want to do for a change. And I still probably have enough to last me a year and a half in the freezer. And
Nice.
so, yeah, I mean, and when they were on sale, she bought them.
Mm. So, if a friend came to you and said, "Okay, Ron, I want to give this carnivore a try," um, what would you recommend to them to maximize their chances of sticking with it?
I don't know. I have a sister-in-law who is diabetic, and I've been trying to encourage her to go on it. And actually, her daughter is uh, actually the nurse that I mentioned, and actually she has three daughters, and all those three are the three that I mentioned earlier. And they've been preparing her meals, and they've been cutting down on the rice for her. But it's like, even my wife, she's cut back on the rice and she has lost some weight. But to have them go carnivore, she eats rice and vegetables. And she will have a steak if I go out on the grill and I cook two steaks and I don't eat till evening when she comes home, then she'll have a steak with me. But I don't know what to say to people to get them. They got to come to it on their own. I think it's like it's not my place to tell people what they've got to eat, and what they don't have to eat. I can tell them my own experience, what I've done, and how it's worked for me. And I mean, they can see the weight loss. I mean, it's just to me, it's phenomenal. It's just incredible. Uh, Not to mention the other health benefits that I've had. Um, so I don't know what to say to him to stay. I said, if you're really going to do it, give it 90 days. If you've got a sugar addiction, like I gave you the way of, getting off of pop that may work for you, may not. I don't know. I'm not, I guess I can't say I'm 100% carnivore because when my wife fixed a roast, I asked her to add some onions to it for flavor. And so they're low in oxalates, so it's like kind of like it's one of those kind of cheats that I do. But most of the time, I have either hamburger or steak. That's kind of or I scramble eggs and have some bacon in the morning. I can't eat like some of the people that have these channels. Like I was thinking of Old Guy Carnivore. He'll eat 5 eggs and a half a pound of bacon and then a pound of beef. Uh, I can't do that. I can't eat that much. If I eat that much, my weight actually will go up. I can eat about a pound of beef, or I can eat 5 eggs and a couple strips of bacon, or one of the things I like, one of my recipes that I like, is I like chopping up a hamburger patty, browning it, and then I'll make 3 or 4 eggs, whip them up, and I'll make like a hamburger omelet out of that. And that's one of my favorite egg dishes that I fix sometimes when I have the hamburger thought, and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to do that today. So, but to answer your question, I'm not sure what I could say to people. I said, you got to give it time. I didn't mention this either, but when I first started, I had terrible constipation. I had the opposite problem, everybody, because I was never a vegetable person. And uh, I had to use suppositories at first to get things going, but now it's not a problem. I think my system adjusted to it.
So, how can people reach out to you, Ron? How can we find you on YouTube?
Well, I have an email address, and you have it. You can put in a link at ronaldcarl@gmail.com. I also have, actually, I have 2 YouTube channels. I have a music channel that it's Ron Carl, composer and arranger. And I did start a few weeks ago. I started a carnivore channel. I put some pictures up there and I put some meal recipes, and I kind of went over the budget thing, but I've only done a few videos. I've got like 7 subscribers, so that's kind of, and I don't know if I'll keep doing that or not, but uh, I also post, like, if there's a good sale on beef or bacon or something like that, I'll go and post that on the channel. So, but it's basically just for people in this area. I go with the ads with the grocery stores that I go to. There's a few of them, like I know Aldi's is a national chain, and they have some good prices on beef
Mm.
sometimes. But um, I haven't really done much with that channel. It's just kind of there.
Yeah. No, no worries. Well, I'll link to your email and your channels in the show notes. Ron, thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
It's been my pleasure, actually. I just, and again, I want to say how much I appreciate. When I was first starting this, I'd go to your channel, listen to people, uh, and it gave me encouragement to keep going. And I'm hoping that my voice will do that as well. Oh, to have a steak is like heaven. Carnivore song. You can keep the potatoes and carrots. Forget all the seed oils and lettuce. I say no to corn and accept the scorn. Oh, the half steak is like heaven. I honor the cow's life that it's given. Rare, well done, and even medium. When I light the grill, it's such a thrill. Oh, to have steak, it's like heaven. Hamburgers are okay without a bun. Ketchup and sauce, oh, I have none. Roast is fine anytime. Oh, you have a steak is like heaven. Bacon is also a blessing. I save all of the renderings. Pork rinds are fine. I snack with them all the time. Oh, to have steak is like heaven. Let's not forget about the chicken. Your eggs are fine in the morning time. Your legs and thighs and breasts are heaven sent. Oh, I have a steak, it's like heaven. I end with this thought, my carnivore friends. Forget candy bars and soda pop. Eat your way to health and weight loss. Oh, to have a steak is like heaven.